I'm very humbled and honored to be named the new executive director of the Reese Senior Bowl. To me, the Senior Bowl is more than a game. It's really a unique entity. There's not many things like the Senior Bowl. Sure, the game itself will always carry a significant importance, but to me, in the city and the surrounding area, it's more than just one day. It's more than just a game. One of the things that drew me to this position was the potential impact the Senior Bowl can make in the communities. That was a big part for me over the years. The Senior Bowl has taken on a lot of initiatives like the charity run and the youth flag football program that they put in a couple years ago that give back to the community. And our mission going forward is to continue those types of efforts. Two words that come to mind when I think of the Senior Bowl, coming down here for 20 years going to the game, is the two words are tradition and pride. The Senior Bowl has played a great part in our city since 1951. And the people within the NFL have always viewed the game as its greatest showcase of talent. In a nation and a league where traditions seem to be fading, I feel like the Senior Bowl has endured and has continued to flourish. I speak from experience when I tell you NFL scouts and coaches are creatures of habit, and they all look forward to the 1 week they get to come down to Mobile in January. That brings them back down here every year. It's a tradition for them that we're going to have to continue for a long time. The pride component to me speaks more about our local community. The people of Mobile take great pride in being the Senior Bowl city, and they should take pride in that. For 1 week, every January, our community takes a national stage with two networks filming on location here in Mobile, the NFL Network and ESPN. So that gives us a big stage that the city doesn't usually get. And then the NFL Draft, it's grown exponentially in recent years. Just this past year, last month, they averaged over 11 million viewers in the first round of the draft. And I feel like that whole draft process kicks off down here on the Gulf Coast. So we should take pride in that. The football component of the game really needs to remain strong. My predecessor, Phil Savage, I think did a tremendous job of building the rosters for this game, full of drafted players, eventual NFL stars like Russell Wilson, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and that will continue to be our focus going forward, bring the best available talent to this game. To our local business leaders, you are extremely important to the Reese's Senior Bowl. I've spent the past 18 years cultivating relationships in the NFL and around college football. And one of my main focuses going forward will be creating new ones within our local business sector. One of our goals is to create new and exciting opportunities, both philanthropic and for the game itself, and we need the local business partners to help impact our community. I'll make my best effort to connect with all the local business leaders, but I encourage all of you, if you're listening, watching this, to reach out to me as well. And lastly, to the people of Mobile, I want to thank everyone for making this home for me. When I moved my family down here 11 years ago, I felt a little bit like an outsider being a Midwesterner down here in the Deep South, and I can tell you that those feelings ended a long time ago. So now that I'm not going to be spending 150 nights a year on the road, I will plan on making those connections even stronger. So appreciate everyone coming. I'll open up to any questions.
Well, I guess the first question is what made the Senior Bowl so attractive versus getting out of the Scotty? Is it a chance to be at home a little more often?
That's a big factor, and I don't take this lightly at all. The commitment to the community, but that's what it was the ability to be home more. I put a lot into that league. It's a really hard league to work in. It's a grind, and to step away from that and everything I've put in, the sacrifices that my family's made for me to pursue my dreams in that league, this was the only opportunity that I would have even considered to do that for. So that was big.
Do you have a game plan that the board gives you to run this game, or do you have your own game plan, or is it going to be a combination of both as we go forward with new ideas?
Well, I certainly have my own game plan, but when it comes to the board, I'm all ears. I mean, one of the things we prided ourselves on with my last job in Seattle was we never had all the answers. When it talks about players and figuring out players and their backgrounds and the people. And I'm trying to approach this job the same way. I don't have all the answers. And thank God I've got a great staff that has been here. I've known these guys a long time, and I'm going to lean on them heavily because they know they've run this show a long time. They've done a great job with it, and I'm going to lean on them and the board as well for any ideas.
A lot of the street talk that I've heard in the last 24 is the first question is, are you going to be a full-time executive director, or are you going to be scouting in the NFL?
You could never do those two jobs. No.
So this is a full-time.
Oh, this is, yeah, absolutely.
standpoint, everything appears to be very healthy, but a lot of empty seats at the game last year. From a marketing standpoint, what are your plans to kind of improve things?
Yeah, we've talked about that. A lot of different ideas have been thrown around. I think that the game itself is really for diehards. I mean, you go to the Senior Bowl, you love football because it's not Alabama, it's not Auburn. Sure, there's some players from those schools, but you're not cheering for the script A on that game day. So there are things we need to do to, whether it be a halftime show or different things, events around in the stadium, in the parking lot. There's things that we can do. So we've talked about those things, but to me, the attendance thing, personally, I feel is a little overblown. A lot of it, to me, in my experience going down to the game over the last 20 years, is weather related. So we will certainly do everything we can to put more people in the seats and do more things. But again, y'all live on the Gulf Coast. January is a rough month, so there's certain things we won't be able to work around.
Also, Sylvester Cream added to the staff. What's his role going to be? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm excited to work with Coach Kroom. He and I have spoke quite a bit over the last few weeks through the process of this job. And really, he's such a great resource for me. And really what he's going to do is work on a lot of the initiatives in the community. We really want to reach out and get the high school coaches involved, get the community more involved. And I think that Coach Kroom's going to spearhead a lot of those efforts in the community.
One more. Possibility South Alabama's going to be building a stadium soon. Is there any idea that the game may be moved there when that happens, if and when that happens?
That's down the road, and we haven't talked too much about that. For their sake, just going into South the last few years as a scout, man, I hope it happens for them. That'd be a great venue for them to be on campus. I know it's important for every college to be on campus, so I hope that works. But when it comes to the Senior Bowl's involvement with a new stadium, that's down the road.
We don't know a lot about what went on behind the scenes in the hiring process. Did you, first off, apply for this job? Were you secondly surprised that you got it? Do you know anything about who you were competing with? Was this a nationwide all to get this job?
I don't know who I was competing with. Really, the way it went down, I got home from the draft, and after a long season, I was spent. Usually takes about a week to get the batteries charged back up again. But so when things went down with Phil, I looked at my wife and I said, "This is something I want to go after." I really wanted to improve my situation for my family, and I felt like if I really went for this job and I didn't get it, I could at least look myself in the mirror and say I tried to improve the situation for my family and being around more, especially with my son. He's going into 8th grade. He played baseball at McGill this past year, and he had 30 games this spring. I made about 5 of them. So if I went for it and didn't get the job, at least I could handle it. But I wanted to give it my best, put my best foot forward. And again, the process of that was reaching out to my GM in Seattle, John Schneider, who's been unbelievable. He and Coach Carroll have been great through this process and supportive. And then things just kind of went from there. But in terms of who my competition was, that's for Angus.
You had Ozzie Newsome on your side, I can tell you that.
That's good. That's good. I imagine during the interview process too, there's actually, some question of what are your ideas? And I know we're really early on here, and just in a broad sense, are there some things, some changes, or how do you put your stamp on this game?
Well, I think one of the biggest opportunities going forward is with the NFL Network from an exposure standpoint. I feel like they come down here and they spend so much time that week. All their production crews, all their talent is down here for a week. I think there's programming opportunities that way to get the Reese's brand out more visible. And then from our game point on through February and March and April to be more involved with their network and be on air and get that out. And then in terms of the game, I think there's a lot of different things we're going to look into, like a skills challenge. I've thought about the Saturday before the game. Again, if you're going to have the players in here, have a handful come in early. So I know there's ESPN has one right now, and they do it in Dallas at AT&T Stadium. But I was thinking about things like that. So there's a lot of areas. And then again, getting the community more involved in the game. I really think going out and getting the high school coaches involved, because to me, those coaches in our community, those are the leaders. Those guys are true leaders. They need to be propped up. They need support from us. They need to be appreciated. And so